Today is Tuesday, January 10th. Can't believe how weeks gone by.
It happens quickly. So AMD released chipset information at CES, and their stock is Ryzen.
But will it be Vega VD Vici? We'll see. Oh, that was terrible. So sorry. Update from us. If you're into Z270, Z270 launched at CES, and we got all the videos. There's 7. We got more on the way. But the first 7, the boards that we got in, the earliest were here. We've got stuff from MSI, Asus, ASRock, Gigabyte, you name it. We got it. It's all good. Oh, we've also got a store. You should check out the store because you guys bought a lot of stuff last week. Thank you. You should keep buying stuff if you weren't aware. The store's got mouse pads and desk mats and that sort of thing. Got a lot of action shots. The thing about CES that I was most excited about, honestly, though, was displays. There's an article from The Verge about displays being the secret superstars of CES. So Asus unveiled a 4K display that was 144 hertz, which is sort of unheard of. It's 27 inch though, not 32 inches. I really want a 32 inch version of that display. I would be really tempted to buy it. There's a Dell 8K display. There was Samsung quantum dot displays, LG's OLED displays. LG was showing off. They had a monitor tunnel or something with OLED, so I guess they've solved the OLED manufacturing problems because it was like a light tunnel or something. And AOC has quantum dot as well. Not just the quantum dot, but also or organic LEDs. So Samsung sort of bet on quantum dot, and LG's on organic LEDs. So it's like I don't know. And I saw the AOC monitors at Computex last year, and they were amazing. They were absolutely amazing. So it's really sort of interesting how far display technology has come, because good display technology is hard to come by. So display technology is what's got me excited, even beyond the AMD Ryzen stuff. There was some good stuff from that, but there's still not enough information. The information is just kind of trickling out.
And outside of CES, there were a few unveils. The Faraday Future actually finally made a car.
Well, there was like several. There was one inside of CES, and then they had one at a test track, I think. There's like the Beta 1 and the Beta 2.
And the impressive thing about it, if you're big on performance, for the few years you're going to get left to drive your own car, this one's faster than Tesla. I think it's thousandths of a second, but hey, it's faster.
0 to 60 in 2.39 seconds versus 2.5 seconds on the Tesla, something like that. Now, the Faraday Future's car, if you've not heard of Faraday Futures, they're a quote-unquote competing electric car manufacturer, but they were set to break ground on $1 billion factory, and I guess they didn't, or something like that. And so Tesla is actually producing cars, and Faraday Future's still not really past the concept stage. But it is encouraging to see that they at least have some beta models, and so maybe they can drum up more investors and some more stuff to be able to actually finish their cars.
They did have an embarrassing moment. The car was not able to park itself. In fact, it did nothing when told to park itself at one demonstration.
Oops, software bug.
But competition's always good for the consumer, so wish them luck.
Yeah, competition's always good. I think MKBHD also did a test drive with this, and so there's all kinds of videos and stuff like that, on the internet. I think a lot of the tech people on YouTube did car stuff this time around, which is kind of interesting. I mean, car technology is neat, I guess, especially when the computerization of cars and some of NVIDIA's press conference stuff, not revealing the 1080 Ti, but revealing, oh, look, we've got a supercomputer in a car and it's all made for self-driving, this, that, and the other. Self-driving cars and car technology was kind of a big part of CES, I guess. It's really kind of neat.
It's interesting that I think, at least the people I talk to, no one wants it. and no one wants Internet of Things.
No one wants Internet of Things.
But this year, we're going to get it no matter what.
Also, credit card thin TVs. It's like, look how thin this TV is. And it's like, if it's less than an inch thick, do I really care? I mean,
no.
I really don't care. This is the news you've been waiting for, maybe. It's about Vega, the AMD's Vega GPU architecture. And the details are actually, more than I was expecting. I guess they're pretty close to release of Vega. They had some systems that were playable with the Vega setup, I guess. They're talking about, professional workloads being in the petabytes now, where it's like you're working on a movie like The Big Friendly Giant and you're dealing with petabytes and petabytes of data. You need workstation cards. There were some videos of near real-time rendering with 4 of their workstation cards with a terabyte of SSD storage each, rendering, a 4K scene in a half a second per frame, something like that. And a typical workstation CPU would take like 5 minutes, or state-of-the-art GPUs that are available now might take 30 seconds. So that's a quantum leap forward, maybe, in performance and technology for the platform, which is exciting.
Yeah, it seemed like memory was a big focus of these cards. They really wanted to pour memory into these things.
Yeah, and adding the, if you're not familiar, they've been adding M.2 storage directly to the graphics cards in order to be able to perform for performance improvements. And I think those cards are available now at retail. Maybe not the exact ones that they showed off, but there are workstation cards with a version of that available now. It's kind of exciting. Of course, what everybody's really interested in is Vega for gaming. How well does it perform? What's going on there? And there were several demos of Doom running 4K at 70 FPS on Ultra, which is fairly impressive.
Doom is well known to be friendly, though, for almost every card. So
yes, that's
not
true.
the most demanding game.
Yeah, it's not. It's well architected, and it's one of the best examples of Vulkan out there. I mean, at this point, you can run Doom under Wine on Linux with Vulkan, because the Vulkan API is so portable. It is possible to run Doom on Linux with Wine. You got to jump through some hoops. It's not easy yet, but it's there, and there's some details about that on our forum. AMD also detailed more about the AM4 platform and Ryzen, although they didn't detail any real specifics about the CPU other than Ryzen is coming. They did share details about the platform, and so we've got some articles here from PC Perspective about the different chipsets that are available and what sort of PCI Express configuration there's going to be, and how the peripherals are going to break down and things like that. And seeing this breakdown of the AM4 platform sort of makes me concerned a little bit. It looks more like it's competing with like Haswell and Skylake than X99. Now X99, 28 and 40 PCI Express lanes, high-end workstation. And when Ryzen talks about 8 cores, 16 threads, I'm thinking more workstation than enthusiast, but maybe I should be thinking about it more in terms of, just general purpose, quote unquote enthusiast, and not really X99, because they're talking about 16 PCI Express lanes at the X370 level. And then, for the other enthusiast or sort of mainstream, the B350, you're talking about 1x8 PCI Express connection, or PCI Express Gen 3. So I'm not really sure what to make of that. If you look at the other peripheral breakdown, you've got NVMe, and so it's like NVMe by 2. And we've already got NVMe that will saturate a by 2 connection that do more than 2 gigabytes per second of read. So if this is going to be a 4-year platform, which is what AMD said, it seems like out the gate, it's just sort of right size.
It seems like the small market size you have for PC builders, why would you target the middle of the road?
Yeah.
It's a weird decision.
It may be that AMD is going for more like the 480. They said this is going to be a 4-year platform. And so like the RX 480 came out, and it's not the top shelf card. It's not the fastest card in the world, but for $200 at the time, it was a really, really good deal. And so maybe that's what this is going to be. It's like, yeah, it's an 8-core, but how many people really use, 2 graphics cards, 10 gig Ethernet, and, 2 4-lane NVMe drives? It is true that Intel's, interface is to the chipset is only 4 PCI Express 3 lanes worth of bandwidth. The same looks to be true on Ryzen for its interface. It provides some PCI Express 2.0 connectivity and provides some other connectivity to system peripherals, SATA, USB 3.1 Gen 2, that sort of thing. But it's not really, it's not really a ton of connectivity. And it's not as much connectivity as I was expecting from the top shelf chipset, I'll say that. I would like to see more PCI Express connectivity, but again, if AMD is not targeting that, then maybe that makes sense. But I worry about, is it really that unreasonable that somebody might have 2 NVMe, 10 gig Ethernet, and they were going to have a high performance GPU, especially thinking about 2, 3, 4 years from now? I mean, NVMe in 2 or 3 years, if Optane takes off or if other NAND technology takes off, would we see NVMe that is, 3.5 gigabytes per second on the read speed? Yeah, I mean, I think we could see that. We can hit that now with RAID 0, and that wouldn't be unusual for a workstation. So I have some concerns about workstation platforms based on Ryzen. I'm hoping AMD has some server grade chipsets, up their sleeve. But I'm going to reserve judgment until I've actually had a chance to play with one. This may just be right size and not undersized. But I think on a 4-year time scale, I think it's going to be undersized. I think out the gate, it's probably going to be fine. But 2, 3, 4 years from now, I don't know if this is going to be enough connectivity.
The Internet of Things is the other big thing from CES. And again, it doesn't seem like anybody wants it, but you're going to get it and you're going to like it. And we're already seeing some hilarious things happening from things being connected when maybe they shouldn't, or not having the security, I guess, is the important part there. So there was a great story about a 6-year-old who was having a conversation with the Alexa. I guess it can entertain your kids. That's one cool byproduct. But she ordered some things from Amazon. She ordered a dollhouse and several crates of cookies.
Oops. This story goes out of its way to not blame Amazon, which is good. It's like, oh, you got to set up a parental controls and this, that, and the other. And they're like, oh, I understand now. You can totally do it. So you can't just blurt out, hey, Alexa, order me some cookies. And that may have triggered your Alexa. Oh, wait, that's what happened to the TV broadcast.
Yeah, like the next day, the next couple of days, a reporter was reading what was said, exactly what was said to the Alexa, which led to cookies and dollhouses being ordered for several of the news broadcast viewers.
Hey, Google, order me some cookies. Hey, Alexa, order me some cookies. Hey, Siri, Google me some cookies. I don't know. I lost my train there. It's terrible.
Oh, I think we should go. We need to figure out something terrible for our viewers. Hey, Alexa, order me some adult diapers. Enjoy that in your recommended items from now on.
From now until the end of time. Hey, did you order the recommended adult diapers? You'll see those ads on like every website you visit now too. It's going to be great.
Now they do make it a point. Again, it's like they were giving this to the Amazon PR team before they printed it, but they stress that any accidental Alexa order they will take back without question.
Oops. Well, Amazon knows how to handle that PR game. That's definitely the thing. It is surprising though that I guess it makes sense that Amazon wants it to be that easy. I mean, how many people they're apparently not going to return the cookies, so they got the sale of cookies at least.
Well, I think it's sort of a digital version of the things at the checkout at the grocery store, the impulse buys. Because if I had to put any effort into finding this item, I wouldn't do it. But I'm here, I'm bored, and I can just, without effort, I can just get it. I'll get it. Yeah, it works. It's a psychological thing that's been proven.
I'm really a bit surprised that the conversation with Alexa about the dollhouse didn't require more specificity either, because, on the enterprise, whenever they would do that, the enterprise computer would say, there are 417 types of dollhouse on file. Please specify by, parameters or whatever.
Well, it was a $170 dollhouse. So do you think the algorithm says, okay, we're not going to get the most expensive dollhouse. That would be too obvious. But we're going to get like a high end, like how does it figure out where to go in the price range?
The highest rated dollhouse?
Maybe, or the most purchased.
Wow. Another thing that came out of CES, which you probably have all seen by now because everybody tweeted about it, was the hairbrush with a microphone and Wi-Fi.
In the wake of the Alexa murder case, I can't imagine anybody, this is a $200 brush, by the way. I can't imagine anybody wanting a brush that records everything. It's incredible.
It apparently supposedly listens for the sound of hair breaking. So it can be like, oh, your hair is breaking. You need to do something about that. Which I guess maybe is okay. I don't know if it can record other stuff.
It's got a gyroscope. So it's like, I guess the resistance that your hair is providing. I really would love to see how much. Now, the reason it has all these measurement tools is to suggest hair products to you. It wants to sell you things. It's like the Facebook ad algorithms in your hand, and you pay $200 for it. It would be great to get a bunch of different people with different hairstyles and test and see if the recommendations really were varied.
We're going to end up like some inventor somewhere with crazy hair is going to invent like a watch that records and watches everything you do. But if you do everything the watch says, you'll live twice as long, but nobody's going to take it seriously because they've been through the Internet of Things and they've been bullshit to the point that they're so desensitized from everything that it's just like, I don't even care.
Well, could we do like a Fitbit Pebble app that emulated turn your regular brush into a smart brush? Those things don't have microphones, do they?
Strap your yeah, they do. You
Oh,
can,
they do?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Some of them you can take calls on your watch. You can do the Dick Tracy thing.
Nice.
Some of them.
If you're looking for an app idea, there you go.
Use the accelerometer on the smartwatch. That's just I don't even. You're also getting the Internet of Things on your fridge too. We always joke about that. It really happened.
Not just your fridge. LG announced at CES every single appliance that they released this year is going to have Wi-Fi. Every appliance. Think about that. Every appliance. Do they make coffee makers?
Yeah.
Wow. So,
Waffle irons, you name it.
and it's incredible. They're not going to give you an option to get the standard issue anymore. You're going to get the Wi-Fi enabled appliance if you buy from LG.
It's so bad. I don't even. Did everybody see the tweet where Windows Update was installing on the ice maker and they couldn't get, they're like, I just want water. And it's like, don't reboot. I'm installing Windows 10. And it's like, on the ice maker? What?
It's a horrifying future for sure.
It's just not good. The Tesla and Panasonic partnership that we mentioned before has come online on schedule and it started production of batteries.
Yeah, this was the Gigafactory that everybody was so excited about. And I think this is one of the few Tesla things that's been right on time. Like they said they were going to start a certain day. They started making batteries that day.
Yeah, and it's largely thanks to the Panasonic partnership. I think there was a few problems they ran into, as I recall, with funding and some of the logistics around like building the building or doing something with the land or whatever. But it ended up not mattering. They were able to get everything online in time. This is really good news in terms of battery production, not just batteries for Teslas, but batteries for all sorts of things, which is why Panasonic wanted to be involved. So the fact that this is online is a very good thing, I think. In the Internet of Things behaving badly, the FTC has sort of looked into not new Internet of Things, but old Internet of Things. And they're saying, hey, some of you really established companies have a really terrible track record for security and updates. And the FTC is taking D-Link to court, citing lax privacy, security, and privacy perils. But also not just D-Link, but also Asus and TrendNet as well.
This is mostly about IP cameras and routers. And some of the things were as bad as hard-coded username and login that could not be disabled. And that's, of course, as soon as the world finds out, that's a botnet. That's a pre-built botnet right there, turnkey.
Yeah, even though your D-Link router is the ones that are hacking all the banks and stuff, it was the Russians to begin with, right?
And this is even more important because most people don't realize these kinds of things. Even when they get sued, people aren't going to replace their routers, and they're going to buy a new refrigerator and a new stove, and they're all going to be on that router.
Well, it really opens up an interesting world of possibilities, though, because on the one hand, having hard-coded passwords and crap like that is not reasonable in any sense of the word. But then you think about, what's the lifetime of a router? Is it 5 years? Well, the security landscape will change a lot in 5 years. We had the Linux kernel vulnerabilities a few months ago, and those vulnerabilities were really, really serious. And pretty much every device that runs Linux or is based on Linux was affected. Some of these routers are based on Linux. Some of them are based on other technologies like VxWorks. But it's not unreasonable to think that in 5 years, there is going to be a security update. And so it's like, are they on the hook for 5 years for producing security updates? I don't know. Maybe it's like a product safety thing. If you make a children's toy and children can impale themselves on it, regardless of a warranty period or anything like that, if you make a dangerous toy, you're on the hook for that from now until the end of time. So I don't know if it's more like the dangerous toy or more like the disposable electronics.
Yeah. It's a good question. I mean, with children, though, there's an added, how much do you have to assume stupidity in your consumer? Can you really put that burden on manufacturers? Because the universe will build a better idiot, as we know.
It's idiot proof. Right? No, the universe will build a better idiot.
And it's a downward spiral. So I don't know how much we can really put the blame on manufacturers. But when they do things like hard-coded logins, that's no fault of the consumer. That's just ridiculous.
We did a really amazing video on how to build a PFSense router, and you should totally do that because it doesn't really suffer from any of these problems.
And if you thought you didn't need that, it's like, I'm just a casual user. Yeah, well, you need it. As soon as you get these Wi-Fi appliances, you're going to need it.
Yeah, you really are. And you may even have to go one step further. You may have to go, even beyond PFSense to something like OpenBSD, we're entering a realm where we need mathematically verified secure software, which is mathematically provably correct, or finite state machines that are provably correct from a security standpoint. That's really what the future is. If there are any startup companies dealing with that, invest in them, because they're probably going to take over the universe. But I think open source has probably already beat them to the punch. So, of course, because of this FTC thing, now I don't know if this is new lobbying or the FTC genuinely trying to do the right thing, but CES 2017, one of the popular devices there, from Symantec and Bitdefender and a whole bunch of others, was home routers that are monitored. Like you pay for a service and they monitor your router.
It's like a security system. The higher end security systems actually have people paying attention to what's going on 24 hours a day. So, but this to me opens up the same. We talked about the Alexa murder case. Not only you have monitoring, sure, but now you have logs outside of your ISP, outside of your own equipment. Now you have another series of logs that the government's going to be able to go to anytime they want.
Well, would that be would they be able to get a warrant that's like, we want control of your home router in order to be able to, execute some other type of operation? It's like,
well, they usually, the way it works is they don't ask permission, they just do it.
And then ask forgiveness.
Yeah, I can totally see, and it's like a child porn case. It's always child porn, because who can argue? And the FBI is going to go to the Indian monitoring place and be like, we're taking over this one for a while. Okay. And nobody's going to ask questions.
Yeah, no one will ask questions.
Yeah.
But maybe this is not really a solution. This is fixing a problem that should not really exist in the first place with another problem that has its own set of problems. And so it's good, you run this kind of thing in the enterprise. Like, you see this kind of thing in commercial companies. And it's just one layer of like the security onion. Like, you have a whole bunch of layers. But if you try to market this for a home user that is apathetic at best and dangerously incompetent at worst, I really don't see how this could work out for the home user. I really don't see the value for this kind of service. I may be wrong, but I
can see this. One way that this is going to be used is when you buy a home that comes with appliances. They're just going to sell you one of these. They're going to tack it on the price of the home. And people are going to buy it and just, like it's going to be like satellite radio in cars. It's there when you buy it. So, okay, maybe I'll pay for it.
Wow. Does that mean it can be spied? Like, it can be used to spy on you if you don't use it? That was a ruling in one of the, the OnStars. Like, the criminal did not have the OnStar service. And so the judge was like, well, you aren't depriving the guy of his OnStar service, so you can totally use that for spying. And it's like, what?
Yeah, could be, yeah.
It seems like a very silly solution for a problem that shouldn't exist in the first place. I mean, come on. Switching gears, literally, let's talk about biomechanical gears made out of gel.
This is a tiny, tiny little, well, I guess you call this a nanobot. But
more than meets the eye.
It's, there's no hard edges. It's a squishy thing. It's not made of metal or anything. And because inside your body, those things, sharp edges, that's bad.
That's bad.
So they've come up with a squishy nanobot. And the purpose of this one is to distribute drugs. So, like those time release capsules that keeps you from smashing them up and snorting them.
Yeah.
Which doesn't seem to work. This thing is just going to be inside of you, slowly releasing drugs over a period of time.
It's they've done some experiments with chemotherapy and mice. So they did super targeted chemotherapy, I guess, with this, so that this thing would only release in the target area because they can control it from outside the body. And super targeted chemotherapy was effective. It damaged less cells where they were not targeting versus like normal chemotherapy, which kills damn near everything. And that's encouraging for oncologists, I'm sure. But we thought this was an interesting article and we thought we would share. Switching gears yet again, Bitcoin is back in the news. Things are getting weird with that whole Coinbase IRS legal case that we mentioned a couple of episodes ago. There's one of the lawyers, there's a lawyer that's a user of Coinbase. And so he was swept up in that warrant. And so he filed a thing that said, hey, I object to the IRS doing this, like blanket collecting a whole bunch of anonymous users of Bitcoin from Coinbase. And so the IRS said, oh, since you've identified yourself, we don't really care about you anymore. We just want the people that have not identified themselves as a user of Bitcoin.
Yeah, so he had a pretty good argument about how that should not be allowed, but the way he presented it was, I am part of this, and here's why you can't do this to me. So their response was, okay, we're not doing it to you, but we're still doing it to everybody else.
So you can opt out by identifying yourself as a Bitcoin user?
Well, no, you have to file suit.
Oh Lord, this is I honestly wouldn't have a problem with this if there had been anything done about any of like the HSBC money laundering or any of the mortgage crisis or that guy in Florida with the gold or any like the New York Stock Exchange fraud. Any of this income tax evasion, any of this income tax fraud, if any of that had gotten any traction whatsoever, maybe. But, a bunch of high school kids using Bitcoin, if that's really what the IRS has to go after at this point, America is an empire and downward spiral, I guess. I don't know. It seems crazy.
To me, this is kind of obvious. It's not an attack on Bitcoin users. It's an attack on Bitcoin itself. They don't want an alternative currency. That's it. You do not compete with the US dollar. That's not allowed. And so maybe we can't fight it overtly, but we can make your life miserable and make you stop using it, I think is the idea here.
It's just so silly. It's completely silly. Bitcoin has been really volatile lately. It was up over 1,000 for a while, and now it's back down around 800.
I think 850 around. Of course, we're filming this before Tuesday, so
we only release on Tuesdays.
don't give us a correction on that.
Midnight on Tuesdays.
But it seems to be mostly based on China. China's having capital controls. Their currencies, they're having trouble with it. So they keep announcing more capital controls, which drives the price up, and then they announce Bitcoin controls, which drives the price down. And there were some big sellers. You usually get these giant orders, and it's like, I can't see people selling into this. It doesn't make sense because you're not getting the most value. Maybe that's just one entity smashing the price. Yeah,
the Winklevoss twins are all toying with us.
So
the Winklevi.
If you bought in over 850 into the rally, maybe don't buy into rallies next time.
I wish I could remember the password to that one wallet that has like 10 coins in it.
Just maybe it'll come to you in the future when it's like $5,000, and you'll have disciplined yourself.
That will be amazing. Amazon has deployed more robots to their workforce. They've increased their robot workforce by 50% in just 1 year.
Yeah, these are the robots that are in the warehouses that run around and grab your order. And they're so much more efficient than people. They can lift more. They're more reliable. They don't take breaks. And Amazon is loving that. And so they just keep expanding the robot workforce. And of course, this is directly destroying jobs.
Yeah. Well, they're on like the 5th or 6th generation. And I actually saw some of these in operation in person. And it was mind blowing because it was like a square shelf with roller wheels on the bottom. And the little thing would unroll a lift and lift up the whole shelf, but it would go and it would load its own shelves with a bunch of different products. So it could go, in the warehouse and say, okay, I've got these 12 orders that I need to fill with these 5 products. And it would go to the shelves in the warehouse and load, shelf 1 with one product, shelf 2 with, other products, shelf 3 with other products, shelf 4, so on and so forth. And in the warehouse, products are grouped together algorithmically to maximize how many products per shelf that you get. So you can even get 2 and 3, 4 products per shelf. So it would put the thing together, and then it goes into like this little queue, and there's people that like interface with the robot in like this alley, but the robots are continuously moving and then go back into the warehouse. And so people have to like pick the orders off of the robots in time as it moves through the queue. And I'm sure it's changed since then because this has been a few years ago, but this is like the 5th or 6th generation of that technology. And so this is not like something new. This is Amazon saying, okay, we figured it out. We got the algorithm. We got the bugs worked out. Let's really roll it out for real. And so you're talking about, football stadium sized warehouses that can be operated by like 15 or 20 people that are just, they don't have to move. The people don't really have to move. They just grab stuff and stick it in a box and they're good to go.
Imagine being one of those people. Like, you're seeing the workforce disappear around you, but you have to work with these robots that are destroying it. That's got to be a weird feeling.
The Teamsters are going to get their aluminum baseball bats and just go to town. It's going to be great.
I don't know. I think Amazon will just build some combat robots. Remember they're doing the countermeasures with the drone delivery?
The drone countermeasures.
So, hey, we'll just build some, like, every fourth truck is just filled with combat robots. So the hijackers, you know, maybe you get 3, but number 4, you're all going to die.
It's not just blue-collar jobs that are on the line either. It's white-collar jobs as well. Japanese insurance adjuster is replacing robots, or replacing people with robots to actually do the actuary type work. They're evaluating medical claims to determine, you know, whether or not the medical claim is legit.
Yeah, insurance companies basically use algorithms to figure this out. You know, they look at how much the claim is worth and the history of the person, and they've got this system that they use. There's not a lot of intuition in it. It's really just numbers game. And it turns out an AI can do that really efficiently.
It's like somebody's been on painkillers for 20 years. That's probably insurance fraud.
So a lot of people feel like they're kind of ivory tower. It's like, well, yeah, the plebs, they're going to lose their jobs to the robots, but I have a skill. Well, do you really have a robot-proof skill? You might not.
No. And with jobs like that, you know, there may still be a human component. Maybe that the algorithm just flags it for human review. And it's like, oh, here we have a 3-time cancer survivor. Their medical history makes sense in that case. The algorithm hypothetically would have flagged that type of a medical history for fraud. But what will probably happen is that they'll overcompensate. They'll probably replace too many people with algorithms, and then you get in those impossible situations when, like, the government declares you dead and it's a 2-year ordeal to get yourself declared alive again. It'll be like that, but with medical insurance.
But even if you had to throw, like, if go back on something, it's like, oh, okay, the robot made a mistake. You're still going to save money.
Yeah.
So maybe just hire a guy to deal with that.
Yeah, just one guy.
And it's easier to, ask forgiveness rather than permission.
And the guy who's good at that job will be fine. But the guy that's the owner's nephew is going to be profoundly bad at that job.
But it's not just the robots we have to worry about taking over. It's also the aliens.
Oh, yes. There's a mystery cosmic radio burst. It's been pinpointed outside of our own galaxy.
Now I think this burst, it's been going on for a while, like 2007. Yeah, it started in 2007. So whatever this is, it's been spewing radio signals at us for several years.
But an intermittent signal.
Yeah, and but now they've located exactly where it is using the telescopes, the VLA, the Very Large Array.
It's not aliens. It's very likely like a magnetar in orbit around a black hole, or some other, like maybe a binary system of 2 magnetars or something like that, where one occasionally occludes the other. There's some kind of an interaction between 2 different objects that are producing 2 different kinds of radio bursts. And it could totally be a naturally occurring phenomenon. It's very likely it's a naturally occurring phenomenon, but it's an incredibly rare naturally occurring phenomenon. So it's worth a look.
And it's unusual. They don't expect this kind of thing from the kind of star that they're looking at when they have actually pinpointed this thing. So whatever it is, it's a new thing that we haven't ever encountered before.
And it's billions of light years away. And the fact that we can detect it billions of light years away tells you the kinds of energies that we're dealing with are just beyond the realm of human capacity to understand, pretty much, in terms of how much energy it is.
So if it is aliens, get ready to be cattle.
They're coming to kill us all.
Yeah. Or
this kind of story. This kind of story is like, if that magnetar were like one of our next door neighbors or at the center of our galaxy or something like that, we probably, DNA just wouldn't even be possible. I mean, there could be a gamma ray burst from outside our own galaxy at any minute. If it was a galaxy a lot closer to our own galaxy than this one, and it was a gamma ray burst with similar amounts of energy, we would just all be dead. It would be bad. It would be really bad. There are theories that say like the dinosaur extinction event was caused by something like that, not an asteroid, but a really intense gamma ray burst or some other high energy phenomena, basically destroying everything. Our magnetic pole and our atmosphere and things like that helps deal with that, but still, it's sort of fun. It's sort of fun to think about and fun to keep in mind.
Think about how many jobs that would create.
Cleaning up the bodies.
the robots that were left behind that have so much to do.
The robots wouldn't survive either. Hell, we could, if we had a solar flare like the one that we experienced, it was like in the 1800s. There were telegraph wires that worked without being powered. If we have a solar flare like that, it's going to take out like most of the satellites in orbit. It's going to be really bad. It's going to be back to the Stone Ages bad. That's a story for another time.
So get a bunch of tech and solar cells and stuff, put it in a lead room, and you can be a wizard when that happens.
A Faraday cage lined with lead. You heard it here first. MongoDB databases are being held for ransom. Yeah, if you use MongoDB and you didn't set a password on it, you probably should. It's kind of bad.
We're thinking about calling these the upgrade/reboot of the week, because every week there's one of these things. So if you have MongoDB running somewhere, there's a good chance, and you haven't upgraded it, there's a good chance that it's been become a victim of ransom. It's going to cost you 0.2 Bitcoins to unlock it.
Well, at least the ransom's kind of reasonable. I mean, it's like, I've kidnapped all of your data. I'm holding your family. It's like, what do you want? $1 million? No, 0.2 Bitcoins.
And we mentioned Bitcoin is volatile. At the time of the writing of this article, that was about $200, but it's not anymore. It's cheap. So if this happened to you, get it now.
Get some Bitcoins. There are actually, I've worked with some companies where their contingency plan, like part of their like disaster planning, is that they maintain a Bitcoin wallet with like, 5 or 10 Bitcoins in it, just in case something happens and they have to pay ransomware, that they've got the Bitcoin wallet. And it's like, that's really part of your disaster recovery. And they're like, yep, okay, sounds good, I guess.
So, that really tells me it's a good time to get into the ransom business.
Ransomware was big in 2016. 2017 is the sky's the limit. It's like the Two Idiots version of forecasting, like the Wall Street forecasting. Speaking of, histories of stuff from 2016, we thought this was interesting. This is the Wikipedia 2016 most popular pages. Of course, the main page and the 404 page, but then Donald Trump and then X Hamster, which is a porn site.
I think this is a very great meta commentary on our country and the world, that Donald Trump is number one and porn is number two.
What is wrong with us? I don't know. I guess this is worldwide, but
I think it's not actually number 12. Number 9 was a Spanish news agency. So that really fits in well with like the Trump porn Spanish. Like this really is telling a story.
I could just imagine. It's like, what's he doing? He's gonna make us build a wall. What? And we have to pay for it. What?
I got to tune out for a minute. Okay. I got to take a little break here.
Okay. I just don't understand. And the last piece of news this week, which is just random. This story is so random. There's a GPU accelerated terminal emulator out there, and of course I would be excited about this. But this is maybe worth a try. You guys should try this and see what it's cracked up to be. If you're running a text terminal with a tiny font in 4K, GPU's kind of needed, I guess, maybe, for your terminal emulator, so you can use tmux and htop and whatever else. And it's OpenGL rendering and blah blah blah. It's maybe worth a try. I don't know. It's really exciting. Yeah, I get excited about strange things. What can I say? It's fine. No one cares. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the news this week. Did you guys see anything interesting at CES? You should let us know in the comments, or anything that we missed. And there's probably there's at least 3 or 4 threads on the Level 1 forums about Vega and Ryzen and stuff that's on the horizon for AMD. So yeah. That might be worth a look if you're interested in that kind of news. There was some other news out of CES, but honestly, the display technology is what I'm most excited about, because display is like a 5 or 10 year technology. Like you're not upgrading your monitors every time, and in terms of like compute horsepower, it's pretty much plateaued since Sandy Bridge. Certainly plateaued since Haswell, unless you're running Workstation and things like that. The places where innovation is occurring in terms of compute horsepower and things like that is really GPU and specialty computation, things like extensions to x86, extensions for video encoding, decoding, that sort of thing. So yeah, let's discuss on the forums at Level 1. I'm Wendell.
I'm Ryan.
We'll see you there. We gave this away. Congratulations to Mitch O. This is our garbage computer build.
A lot of you guys were interested in, our curing tonsillitis video, and a lot of you have taken interest in building your own garbage computers, which is really awesome.
It seems like a lot of you are simply never going to buy current generation hardware.
So, Tech's going to give it to you.
We're tired of waiting for you to get it on your own.
Tech's going to deliver to you.
It's real.
Stainless steel.
Tech has given this one away, so we need to give something else away. And we're going to be giving away a Kaby Lake system. We haven't picked all the parts yet, but we do have this motherboard.
It's a MSI Z270 X-Power Gaming Titanium motherboard, which is pretty cool.
And we'll be using this MSI 960 in our build. We don't know the rest, but we will be doing a video about it before we give it to you.
Look for the video featuring these components coming soon, and then that's how you'll get your information about how to enter.
Tech's going to give it to you. As in Level 1 Tech is going to give it to you, because I have to be clear about that.